All right, I think that's enough time waiting for those who registered to be at this evening. So thank you very much for those of you here, both obviously those panelists who are joining us from the departments, as well as the students who are here to speak with you this evening. We have a couple of great faculty members, as well as some current and previous students who are going to be here to talk to you guys this evening. So welcome to NSU Halmos College of Arts and Sciences Virtual Open House for the department, and we are very excited that you are here with us this evening. So I'd like to start off by introducing you to the Dean of the University. There we go. Thank you. Is Dean Holly Baumgartner. She is our relatively new dean, and we are very happy and very excited to have her working with us. So she wants to make sure that she gets a chance to, welcome everyone to NSU's Halmos College of Arts and Sciences and the Guy Harvey Oceanographic Research Center. The college is NSU's intellectual and cultural foundation, firmly anchoring the university in the liberal arts and sciences necessary for the 21st century workforce on into graduate school. Engage you in a cutting-edge selection of majors and minors built on innovative models and relevant technologies. And she is very active at the university. You'll see her all the time, all over campus, whether it's out at our Oceanographic Center or on the main campus where the majority of your classes will be if you are doing them in person for your in-person classes. So feel free to say hi to her at any time. She loves talking to our students, loves being around, and really cares about the work we're doing in our departments. It's very exciting to have her with us. So I'd like to introduce you to my team as well. So my name is Brett McAllister. I'm the Director for Graduate Admissions for the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. We also have my Assistant Director, Miss Megan Troy, who is with us this evening as well. Theodore Uwe, who the majority of you are here probably know a little bit better because you've worked with him through emails and communications. He's our graduate recruiter. As well as Andrew Gepner, I believe, is with us as well this evening. He is our administrative coordinator, and he's also a current master's student, but for our marine science department. So my team is fantastic. If you have any questions, any one of the four of us are more than helpful to answer anything you may need. If you call in, oftentimes you will get Andrew. He's on the phones a lot, and then most of the direct lines do go straight to his phone, and he will transfer you on to myself, Megan, or Teddy. So we have a great team. We're happy to be with you guys this evening. First, I'd like to introduce, so this is our main campus building. I said we do have the two separate locations, mostly focusing on where your classes will be. We'll be on the 314-acre Fort Lauderdale Davie campus, centrally located. It's very close to 95 and I-75 and the Florida Turnpike. Makes it very easy access, whether you got to fly here, be here, or have you. And also means there's a lot of fun things to do around the area, as I'm sure maybe some of the students that were here can also attest to as well. It includes also the 5-story Alvin Sherman Library, which is one of the largest libraries in the state of Florida. I believe it's top 3. It is a fantastic, beautiful building, as well as gives you access to the Don Taft University Center. So as a student at NSU, as a graduate student, you get full access to every single thing on campus, regardless of whether you're in person, online, or where your classes may be. You get access to everything. That includes, the University Center for the Performing Arts swing, any of the athletic facilities. You get access to everything, which is a great opportunity that we do encourage people to take advantage of as well while you're here with us at NSU. So we also obviously have multiple different disciplines here with the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. We do a great job combining the Master of Arts for Composition, Rhetoric, and Digital Media. We also have the Conflict Resolution Department. We have Master of Professional Sciences for Environmental Sciences, Biological Sciences, Marine Sciences. We do a lot here at the university, but particularly, of course, for this evening, we're here for National Security Affairs and International Relations. We also do within that have the cybersecurity concentration. So we are very excited to be here this evening with you guys. So thank you very much once again for being here. And with us, leading us off tonight will be Professor Ransford Edwards. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that correct, Professor. And he's very much involved in the program. He's a professor and he's the graduate recruiter with us, the coordinator with us this evening. So with that, Professor Edwards, why don't you take it off from there? And thank you once again so much for being here this evening. We really do appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule.
Perfect. Brett, thank you very much for the gracious introduction. And again, I want to thank everyone on the panel, Teddy, Giselle Mariah for showing up, Claudette Brooks, Andrew. Listen, you're here because you're interested in national security affairs. So let me introduce myself. I am Ransford Edwards. I have a PhD from Florida International University. My main main field is actually international relations, right? And I've done stuff on disaster capitalism and comparative politics, right? So I run the full gamut within political science. I do some methodology, not much. But I'm very excited that you're here. I am very excited about our program, and I can't wait to see you in the upcoming semester. So then let me introduce you briefly to David Kirrow, who's actually our department chair, and he's normally here every open house, but last minute he was called away, and I'm sure he's dying to get back to you and dying to get back to us, but he's our department chair. He also teaches courses once in a while in foreign policy, so you may see him in a particular course. So he's our beloved chair, and hopefully you get a chance to meet him shortly. So let's start talking about our program. All right, so actually, interestingly enough, that picture is from 2019, where we went to Cuba, right? So that is actually Havana, Cuba. And we had several grad students participate in a special topic program, which is called the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, we haven't been back to Cuba until next year. So since COVID, we've actually had the clearances now. So there's actually a trip scheduled to go to Cuba upcoming. And there may be opportunities for you, if you're interested in making that trip, to take a trip with us to Cuba under special topics like, again, Cuban Missile Crisis. But outside of that, and again, that is normally with an company of undergraduate students in Latin American politics. But besides that, some of our faculty areas of specialty is international political economy. I do some of that. There's genetics and genealogy, disaster politics, that's mine, literary theory, Latin American literature, history of philosophy, U.S. foreign relations, Dr. Kilroy, Dr. Bass, comparative law, Dr. Stephen Levitt, political philosophy, border security, literature, philosophy, criminal law, American legal, constitutional. It's a whole slew. In fact, we have one faculty member, James Phelps. He has spent over 20 years on a nuclear submarine. So just think about, right, that wealth of experience, right, and the stories he has to tell. So that's just a small sample of what we do and who we are as a dynamic faculty. All right, so a little bit, again, a little bit about our program and our curriculum. So it's 36 credits for the master's in science degree, and we also have the certificate program. So let's delve a little bit into some of these courses so you get a snapshot of exactly the kind of courses that you will encounter. Go ahead, Teddy. All right, so here's some of our highlights. So again, speaking about the master's program, it's normally 24 months, and again, it prepares you for entry into a variety of careers, as you will hear from one of our alumni in government, nonprofit organizations, and even the private sector, right? So if you are working and if you have other commitments, right, this program should fit neatly into some of that because it's primarily online. But to be fairly honest and fairly forthcoming with you, I love in the classroom. Like, that is my specialty. I love that dynamic. So if you're kind of tired, you're talking behind a screen through Zoom, not right now, obviously, but right, our course offers that hybrid dynamic where you will be in a classroom, right, amongst your colleagues, and you'll be talking out particular issues. You'll be sometimes arguing, right? But that is what the college atmosphere is, and we try to recreate that as much as possible. So I'm very excited about seeing you actually in the classroom. So there's conceptual and practical focus, right? I'm very theoretical, where someone like James Phelps has that practical experience in the field. So you get the nice balance, in the entire spectrum of academia. We also have an optional cybersecurity concentration, which will give you, again, a dabble in notions of things like cyber conflict, statecraft, and threat assessment. And again, to point out, right, I mean, you can be the location, right? This is Fort Lauderdale. You're anywhere, you're at least 30 minutes away from the beach. And if not, you can hang out on our beautiful campus. and yeah, in the library. And maybe, just maybe, if you ask nicely, they'll let you into on the 5th floor, right? So we can't talk about it now, it's top secret, but the 5th floor is where all the action happens, all right? So that's a little teaser. And again, dynamic faculty, dynamic courses, right? We have courses in terrorism, international law, national security affairs, and we'll go through the list, I guess, on the next slide with some of the specific courses. You know, we have, again, border protection, ethical issues, international relations, theory and practice. That is my baby. Like, that's the course that I teach. I'm teaching it in the upcoming semester. And that's a part of our list of core courses. You need 21 credits in these courses. Current historical issues, national intelligence collection. And we also have a set of elective courses. So these are the ones you have to take. And here is your slew of courses, right, that you can pick and choose from. So think about something like cyber conflict and statecraft, or even economic statecraft in national security affairs. And there's also option to do directed read-ins, and also, you know, practicums and special topics like the one I mentioned, the travel abroad to Cuba, where that special topic was the Cuban Missile Crisis, where we can do things like maybe China, right? So there's a whole slew of options for you to kind of make this experience customized to what you want it to be. And that very last one, right? The directed thesis, right? Because listen, you come to grad school because you want that edge, right? That competitive edge. And I think we offer a curriculum and courses that are enriching, challenging, and ultimately rewarding. And by adding a thesis option, right? I'm very excited about that. And maybe one of our students shortly will talk about it, but it gives you the opportunity to be a real academic in the sense of you produce scholarship. So you go through a process of writing a directed thesis under an advisor. And in the end, you can consider yourself a published author. And there's something about that goes with you everywhere. And there's a certain prestige attached to that. So I would, you know, if you are interested in the program and you are going to actually enter the program, I would also suggest you think about writing a thesis. It's challenging, but it's the most rewarding feeling at the end, right, to go through that process. So that's some of our courses, or core courses, or elective courses, a total of 36 credits. And this is our, you know, that's a National Security Affairs Master's program. And, you know, we also have options, right? There's an optional cybersecurity concentration, as mentioned earlier, where you get, again, right, you get to look at it from the technical perspective. Now, eventually, right, we want to be more analytical, right, with the cybersecurity concentration. But again, to get your feet wet in things like information security management or information security projects, right? These programs, these courses are ideal for that concentration in cybersecurity. And there is also our graduate certificate in national security. So if the route of doing the full master's, right, is not for you, it's not for everyone. But if you want a graduate certificate, you can take the exact same courses, but in this case, you just need 15 of those credits, and you have the list of core courses you can take and the elective. So we also have the option of taking a graduate certificate and, again, leaving the program being fulfilled in that regard. So on that note, I want to actually introduce you to one of our alumni who I'm very, very proud of her. This is Mariah Johnson, who unfortunately had to leave us in 2020, but she's on to greener pastures. So Mariah's going to talk to you for a few minutes about her experience in the program. And let me promise you, right, we didn't pay her any money, right? And I don't know what she's going to say, but I'm sure, right, she'll give an honest assessment of what this program meant to her and her time here. So Mariah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mariah. Edward did pay me to be on here, just FYI. But I started the master's program in 2019, and I graduated in 2020 during the pandemic. I actually was on the team that went to Cuba. The reason why I went into the program was because I was interested in my goal, my future goal is I want to be a U.S. diplomat. So right now, that's why I went to the program, because I was hoping this will help me to get my the education that I needed to go that route. Right now, I work at Department of Homeland Security with USCIS, which is United States Citizens Immigration Service Officer. I've been doing it now for my 3-year anniversary just passed. The way I got this job was actually during like during ANOVA, they had a job fair that was only for government jobs. It was only government jobs, and I just happened to go because I wanted to see what was available. And when I went, I actually ended up meeting the field director for my previous office that I used to work in. I used to work in the Hialeah field office, and that director there, she was there at the job fair, and I introduced myself, we started talking, she liked me, so then she basically offered me the job at that day, actually. So so we started the whole process of me getting into the federal government and everything. So if they have a job fair, I would highly recommend you guys going, because that was actually how I got into the door, because it's really hard to get into the federal government. So just take advantage of whatever opportunities they have. Definitely take advantage of it and do it. Because now, I'm in there in the federal government now. And then with my experience, I can hopefully, my next goal after this is I do want to go into Department of State and somehow go into foreign affairs and then work my way up to being a U.S. diplomat.
Perfect. Thank you, Mariah. That's money well spent. So let me go ahead and introduce Giselle. And Giselle is actually our current, one of our current students. And Giselle is, first time she's hearing it, but Giselle is a rock star, right? So she'll tell you about her experience in the department so far, and the things that she's doing and what she hopes to take out of this program. So Giselle, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Edwards. I appreciate that. I'll have to put that on my resume if you don't mind. I quote you directly on that. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Giselle, and I'm in my 2nd year of the NSAIR program. So I have 1 semester left, which will be the next semester. I'm currently working on my thesis, and I've also taken the opportunity to pursue the concentration in cybersecurity. So I'll just take a few minutes to tell you about my impressions of the program and specifically why I selected this program for myself. So the first value point that I'd like to mention to you is that I, through this program, have learned some really practical skills. So I currently work at a national laboratory based in New Mexico, and I interned there in high school, and I've been there for quite a while now. And there have been multiple situations where the skills that I've learned and trained in these classes have been directly applicable. So in one of Dr. Edwards' courses, I learned to code and analyzing using a software called R. And that came up later at work where they said, does anyone know how to do this? And I was able to raise my hand and say, I do have some experience, and I was able to support a project and support efforts in national security work. I have also, through the concentration, expanded my knowledge in cybersecurity, and that has proved increasingly valuable. So overall, I'd really like to highlight to you the applicable skills that I've gained from this program, and I think are really present. The second thing that I would like to mention is the opportunities provided in this program. This is one of the reasons in particular that I chose to go to NSU. They provided the option to do the concentration in cybersecurity, as well as the opportunity to complete a thesis. If you don't choose that, there's an exam that you can take. But in other programs I was looking at, they provided options to do one or the other, or fewer options in general. But I'm someone who I like to do a lot of work, and I wanted to be able to do both. And here at NSU, I'm really able to. And I've been working on my thesis now for just about a semester, and the one-on-one experience that I've had working with the faculty has really been invaluable. they found a way to provide me helpful feedback and direction while also allowing me to maintain autonomy over my project and study something that I'm terribly fascinated in. And so it really is still my project. And I just have really excellent advisors on my committee and a really excellent thesis advisor, which would lead me into my next point, as the instructors have been really incredible. I'm a remote student, and I assumed going into the program that it would be like when the world went online during my undergrad program, and all the students kind of faded into the background and you lost the personal connection. That's what I assumed would happen. But I'm delighted to say that's not been the case here. My instructors have been incredibly knowledgeable in providing me feedback on assignments, helping me to improve and develop skills. But they've also ensured that the option to connect, to get to know your faculty, to get to know the other students, is still very present. And although I've had to do discussions over Zoom, which are not my favorite, I would prefer to be in a classroom, it is still nice to have that opportunity where I am still engaging with the faculty and I'm engaging with my peers in a way that's pretty similar. And I'm sure you all know how important faculty is in your education. I'm sure you know in your undergrad experience, an instructor could really ruin a class with their attitude or how they treat students. And I'm happy to report that there's, everyone here has been so excellent, and I'm really grateful for them. So that's all that I'll share for now. Thank you, Dr. Edwards, for inviting me to share. And I hope to see all of you in the program in the future.
Thank you very much, Giselle. And again, thank you, Mariah. Really appreciate it. So let me turn it over to Teddy. Theodore, he's going to take over from here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edwards. And yes, thank you both, Giselle and Mariah. So we're going to go into the application details a little bit more. I recognize everyone's name over here, so I know that we've been in discussion in some form. So generally speaking, as we move into the new year area, we just passed our winter 2023 deadline. I know a couple of you were applying for winter time, and we're still in communication about that. We will need to go over that come next week, of course. But for anyone looking into summer 2023 or fall 2023, we're going to be looking at April 15th for summer and July 15th for fall of next year. Moving into the application materials here, we're going to get overviewed a little bit more specifically, first off, into the MS program. So you're going to be submitting your NSU graduate application along with a $50 application fee. We do require all of your official transcripts from any previously attended institutions. If you are coming from outside of the U.S. or had taken courses at a non-U.S. institution, we do require those to be evaluated, and I'll touch upon that in just a sec. As well as 2 letters of recommendation, can be academic or professional, but we do prefer academic if possible. As well as an admissions essay, you will receive the prompt for that within the application, along with 1 academic writing sample. And this can be something that you've written in the past during your time as an undergraduate student, whether that be like an essay for another course, maybe just a journal entry, for example, something along those lines. And ideally, we are looking for a candidate of about a 3.0 or better for our application. Then as we're looking into the graduate certificate program, it's going to be mirrored as far as the actual application deadlines. So again, for the upcoming summer and fall terms here, it's going to be April 15th and July 15th. We don't require as much for the graduate certificate program, so it will be 1 letter of recommendation instead, as well as all of your transcript and the general application, as well as the admissions essay. And then we're still ideally looking around that 3.0 range, at least for the graduate certificate as well. Now then, I did want to go through the actual application process a little bit more. I know it can be kind of confusing when you're looking at it right off the bat. So what we're looking at right up here is going to be your account overview. Once you go ahead and create an account with us here at NSU, this is what your overview will look like as soon as you log in. So one of the first things that you're going to notice is there's a My Applications portion. If you're taking a look at the photo here, it's going to show all the different programs that you may have indicated interest in as you filled out the general application beforehand, as you created your account, and then it'll stipulate if you were looking to start any applications or if you have any ones that are still currently being worked on. It'll give you a status update there as well. If you are having any issues at all with using the portal, we do have a helpline, both a phone number and an email. I suggest the email more so. They're a little bit quicker to respond, but the phone number is usually monitored Monday through Friday. as well as any areas of interest that are located on the bottom. Now, as we start the application here, the first portion you're going to get through your biographical information and some of your contact information. One of the things I do like to emphasize as you fill out this information is that we ideally would recommend not using an institution email if you've been using that for a while. Reason being is if you say you were just coming out of undergrad, you may only have access for like the next couple of months before they close you out from your prior institution. And in those cases, if we do need to get in contact with you, it can become a little hard. So we usually suggest like a private email of some short. And then we're going to be making sure that you have all that specific address information, date of birth, and so forth. So if you do see any sort of error on your contact information later on, do let one of us here at admissions know. We can usually update that on our end. Now then, specifically as we're going into the program here, you want to make sure that you are putting in the correct entry term. We do offer rolling admissions for the MS and graduate certificate programs in national security affairs and international relations. So that means that we review students during the fall, winter, and summer terms. I would also let you know that if any case something were to happen and say you can't finish the application for this term, or maybe you have been admitted, but you cannot start at your original term that you put on your application, we are able to defer your application up to 1 year past that original term that you put. So for anyone that say was applying for winter 2023, they'd be able to apply for, defer, I should say, for summer, fall, and then the following winter term. Then as we go into the prior college information, as I was kind of touching upon a little bit earlier, this is where we're going to be needing to have all of your official transcripts to be submitted. So certain items such as say like your personal essay, your academic writing sample, and like your resume, if you wanted to submit that, you can upload that directly through the application portal. But for items such as your letters of recommendation or your official transcripts, those have to be submitted usually through another party. In cases of official transcripts, usually you can go through your institution as a request to have the transcript sent out. We can accept them both via email and mail. In the event that they can send it via email, it must go to electronic transcript at nova.edu as listed here on the bottom of the slide. Or we can also have them send it to us via mail. If you do need that mailing address, feel free to contact any one of us here in admissions and we can supply that for you. Now, as I was kind of touching upon a little bit earlier, if you did take any credits outside of the U.S. at another institution, you will have to get that evaluated by a member of the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services, or NACES for short. But we also do accept transcripts from World Evaluation Services as well. If you're ever confused upon how this all needs to be taken care of, I'm more than happy to sit down and walk you through the process over here. But essentially, the evaluation report will need course-by-course analysis with the U.S. grade equivalent, along with your cumulative GPA, and if you have to see or received any degree of some sort, that has to be listed on there as well. Then going to the supplemental items. So this is generally what it's going to look like as you're looking at the actual supplemental item side of the application. There's going to be two portions within the application. If you're taking a look at the photo on the screen over here at the very top, you're going to see in the little small print, it says review and supplemental items. The general application will all be underneath that review portion there, whereas say like the writing sample, resume, essay, and so forth will all be underneath listed there on the supplemental items. You have to first submit your application before you can send out recommendation requests, but that will also be found underneath the supplemental items tab. Submitting the application means that you're at least submitting your general application, which is everything that you would have filled out in the review portion, and then you would be submitting that $50 application fee. Once you have submitted your application, underneath where it says recommendation request in the photo here, you'll be able to submit your recommender's email. They get sent an automated message with further instructions on how to submit a letter on your behalf. We ideally recommend that when they are uploading any sort of file for your recommendation, that it should be a Word document file or a PDF file. And this is just because other file types just don't work well with our current system. So sometimes what happens is we'll get the completed form, but then we won't get the actual letter. If you're ever unsure if that's been received or not, feel free to check with one of us here in admissions, and we'll be sure to go ahead and check on your account. You can monitor everything underneath your application portal over here under the submission status, as you see on screen here. This is where you're going to be able to see if it has been successfully received. So if you know that you've received communication either from like your recommender or from your institution that the transcripts or letter has been received, but it's still not showing on your application, again, you can reach out to us there. Now then, into costs of cost of attendance here and some of the associated fees. So we run on more of tuition on a per credit basis, 36 credit program, again, for the MS in National Security Affairs, and then 15 credits for the graduate certificate program. Over the course of a calendar year, you will accumulate around $1,800 as a full-time student. Full-time student status means that you're taking at least 6 credits per semester. These fees is what's really encompassing what's called the student services fee, which essentially is an over-encompassing fee that's going to pay for all the different types of resources, technology, the actual campus, and a variety of other resources that you're going to make use of during your time as a student. Now then, I'm sure you guys are curious about some of the different financial aid opportunities that we have over here at NSU. If you ever get to take a look at the HCAS scholarships page, which we have listed on the bottom of the slide right here, you're going to get to see a couple of different sections. One includes our HCAS scholarships as well as our institutional scholarships. The larger difference between the two is that the HCAS scholarships have to be for students that are enrolled underneath the Halmos College Graduate Program. So you, of course, would qualify for that, whereas the institutional scholarships are available for students across the NSU's colleges. And then we also do have a section depicting some of the different paid positions that we have around the campus, whether that be, say, helping out with some of our undergraduate classrooms a little bit more, or working with some of our various graduate students and some of the other professors and faculty. And of course, we'd love for you to follow us on social media. Most of our different platforms will be dubbed underneath the NSU HCAS name, but say on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, we're the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. Later on, if you did want to look up this, we will be recording this and posting it to the YouTube later on. Or if you have any questions, you can always contact us. So at this time, I would like to open it up for any questions you guys have. We do have a little Q&A portion that you can go ahead and take use of, or if you want, you can always just type it in the general.
So I know, actually, I do have a couple of questions, actually. One being for Professor Edwards itself. I know you guys said you do get some decent amount, hopefully with, COVID changing a bit from a traveling standpoint. Are there things further lined up down the road beyond just maybe hopefully going back to Cuba again that you guys have discussed as a faculty and as a department itself?
Yeah, listen, so the entire world to some degree is opening back up. So there may be trips scheduled for Europe. We have done that for the undergrads this semester. So yeah, there's opportunity, right? Cuba just happens to be a place where it works out for us, a regional alignment, but there's definitely opportunities for us to expand that program. We've done Eastern Europe before. So that's also something that, can be, in the works and to consider.
Well, I know a question that I get from a lot of inquiries that are looking at the program specifically is more on some of the different job opportunities. I know we discussed it a little bit at the beginning of the PowerPoint here, going into both public and private sector. But what is typically what you've seen a couple of the students come out over here of the program looking into? I know that, we had like Mariah over here that moved into Homeland, of course.
Yeah, one of our, our latest, one of our students got into foreign service, right? So that was one of our latest students. Very, very proud of him. We have a student working for a defense contractor in Washington, D.C. We have several students actually in Washington, in D.C. working for various branches of the government. In this case, her case, she's working for a private military contractor. So again, it runs the full gamut, and obviously Mariah is located right locally, right? So yeah, we run the full gamut of professions within government and outside of government. So yeah, think about Department of Homeland Security, Health and Services, FBI, right? We've also had our students, have gone through the interview process with the FBI. Students with the CIA or DIA, right? The students have gone through that process. It's interesting. We've actually asked students to come back from those agencies and talk, but they don't have the clearance. So they can't really talk about those experiences because they technically can't talk about those experiences, right? So yeah, it's, I think we do quite well, and we're quite proud of that track record in terms of placing students.
Edwards, can I answer
Oh yeah, go ahead.
that question a little bit? Okay, let me turn my camera on. So I think from what I've experienced so far, I would definitely recommend for the new graduates. So one thing I would suggest try to do is, if you can, to do an internship, because if you do an internship, it's a pathway that's so much easier to get into like a particular agency, for example, right? Like they have a bunch of student pathways is what they're called, and that is like, it's so much easy to do it that way, and it's pretty much guaranteed that you will have a job in the government if you do good. So let's say if you enter as a student pathway to some, like let's say my job or Department of State or something, and you do really well, then at the end they're most likely going to hire you, and that makes it so much easier for you to get in, because you don't have to go through all the 50 steps like I had to do, for example, to get in. So I would definitely recommend, if you guys can, to do a internship or look for jobs on USCIS. I'm sorry, not USCIS. Don't look at that. Look at USA jobs. For jobs that are like either like student trainees or a student pathway, student internships, because since you're still in school, you are most likely going to get picked up. And it's like, when I tell you it's so much easier, it's so much easier. Like I wish I had known this when I was doing my graduate, because I would probably save myself a lot of headache, and I'll probably been able to go into an actual agency that I really want to be in or really do like, and it would just been a lot more faster and easier than waiting till after you graduate or whatever, doing it that way. With this job, with this graduate degree, I think you could basically go anywhere that you want to go to. So you could definitely go to Homeland Security, you go to the FBI, the CIA, Department of State. You could probably even go into like Department of Labor if you wanted, or like wherever you wanted to go. You just have to make sure, like whenever you're looking for a job, you're gonna have to start at the bottom, like very bottom, like probably starting at GS level 5 or 6 or something like that. But that's okay, because a lot of, depending on the agency, like for example my agency, you go up every year, you go up a GS level every year, so you can pretty much get to like a GS 12 or 13 probably within 4 to 5 years, for example. So yeah, I think my advice is definitely try to look for an internship or look for a job right now that is like a student pathway or a graduate or pathway or something like that. Now, let's say if you graduate, then you are considered a graduate for 2 years after you graduate. So you can look for jobs that are for recent grads. Like you'll see posting on USA jobs that's for recent grads, and you will be counted as a recent grad as long as it's within the 2 years that you have graduated.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mariah. And on that, right, we actually have an in-house dedicated internship for our students, right? It's in maritime security. This is a company called Dryad Global. And again, they're very flexible. So that's an opportunity that you may have to move into a position within that's, again, exclusive to our NSA students in something like maritime security. So internships, that's actually a perfect example, Mariah. They're very helpful. And yeah, we have access to those opportunities also.
That's great. So I do think that answered Lydia's question about internships. I don't know if you saw it as well. It's, do you know if a lot of people graduate end up working in politics, Professor Edwards, or any of our other panelists with us?
Off the top of my head, no, right? But again, you're not limited, right? Again, once you have that degree in those critical thinking skills and you make those connections, right? The ceiling, right, is boundless. So conceivably, we probably have graduates that are in politics. And to be fair, right, I started in this program in 2017, but it's been around since 2005. So I'm sure there are some alumni somewhere that is probably in politics. So if you're interested in that, and listen, I'm a political scientist, so I can talk politics all day, right? So, I'm sure there's opportunities for that.
Awesome. We do have another question coming from Christopher. Excuse me, from Michael. I apologize, rather wrong name on there. Hello, this is Michael Gearing. I'm interested in enrolling in the graduate certificate program. I was wondering whether there were specific classes that students in this program would normally take during the first semester of the program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the list there. I'm not sure if Claudette Brooks is on because Claudette Brooks is normally the person, invaluable resource in terms of organizing, walking you through the steps of graduation. But of course, like research methods and evaluation or international relations, right? So you want to, because some courses are offered maybe every other fall or every other winter. So it's ideal to actually have a plan, right, to take some of these core courses when they're available and not save them for the end itself. But yeah, I mean, once you're here, you will get the guidance to the courses that you would need to take and when you would need to register for them.
Evening, everyone. Yes, I'm here. And yes, thanks for answering that question, Dr. Edwards. And to the individual that did ask the question, if you ever have a doubt, always reach out to me. I'm more than happy to walk you through your degree plan, let you know what's the next step, what courses come next. And I think I am pretty responsive, so feel free to always reach out.
Yeah, Claudette is Claudette kind of runs the program, but we don't. I only tell her that privately, right? But Claudette is one of the main resources that keeps the program going. So thank you, Claudette.
Thank you too.
And I just wanted to add for everyone too, that the handoff between us here at admissions and the department begins between Claudette and myself. So once you've been reviewed and if admitted into the program, your next steps are to be working with Claudette as you get registered for classes. So definitely take advantage of her. She's a wonderful resource.
Looking forward to hearing from all of you.
And so am I. So, it could. I'm a geek in that way, so I love, like talking about politics and being in the classroom. So listen, if you want to get that experience, definitely register and sign up for international relations in the upcoming winter. If it's not, too much far past the deadline. Yeah, I'm eager to, get to know you.
And if you do, guys, also, if you do think of questions later at a future, please feel free to reach out to anybody on my team and we'll happily connect you with any of the faculty members. I'm sure Giselle wouldn't mind talking to people as well. I know she is also, on top of just being a student, she is also our peer mentor for the department. So thank you very much, Giselle, for being a part of that as well. It's very much appreciated by my staff. But I do know people are also very busy. Oh, there's another question. Perfect timing. Oh, perfect. Also was wondering what the difference would normally be between the type of job opportunities available to students who have done the master's as opposed to students who have done the graduate certificate.
So from my experience, the certificate program is helpful for people that's already in a particular field, right? So to advance within that particular field, I find that tends to be more helpful. Whereas the MS in the program itself, I guess, will give you a wider opportunity to, spread your wings, throughout the entire job market. But that's my experience,
Yeah, and as far, another question coming up. Thank you. Perfect. And as far as, from a just general education, query about, it can only help you having a furthering master's degree, as I'm sure. Obviously, Professor Edwards is also a PhD. I can speak from my own experiences. I have a master's. I'm going back for my PhD as well. It can really only help you from a career standpoint. So that's why we do, not that we would force you one way or the other. It is entirely up to you, of course, but it will definitely help you from an education, and you just learn more. And that's the best part about this, especially this type of program. You learn every time I talk to Professor Edwards. I'm fascinated by all the topics he always brings up. It's fantastic. All right, well, if we don't have any other last questions coming in, I know people are very busy and in different time zones and across the place. We are, obviously this is recorded and we will be posting this again, so please feel free to find it on our YouTube page. For those of you who will be watching this later, because we do have some people coming in from later, I'll answer that question in just a moment as well. For those of you who will be joining and watching this later, thank you so much for reviewing this. And so we do have another question by Christopher. How does this MS program prepare a person to work in security think tanks.
Oh, man. And I think, if you missed Giselle's discussion, it's rigorous, right? To be fairly honest, this is not the type of program where you can just sit back and not engage, right, with the material or with the professors. Right, it's rigorous. You have to be able to defend your point, right, like on your feet, and back it up intellectually, right, with cogent arguments via written communication. If you are writing a thesis, which I always encourage, right, obviously this will show you how to do research, analysis, right, data analysis, possibly interpretation, right, making causal inferences. So I think ideally this course is a Master of Science, right? You will definitely get the scientific perspective, which is, again, taking those methods of analysis and being able to apply them to particular issues and problems throughout. And again, remember, even though we're national security runs the gamut. So I think post 9/11, we thought of national security as dealing with like terrorism. But I think we're obviously advanced to think about national security, meaning things like, climate change, right, or immigration flows. So in that regard, right, this course and the courses will give you a full gamut of analysis and resources to tackle any problems, especially problems that may come up at a think tank.
So thank you, Professor Edwards. Do we have any other questions from the people? I know we've had a couple people that have just joined us as well. So I believe Theodore mentioned as well, this is obviously recorded and we will be posting this again. So please feel free to review this at any time. But if we don't have any more last second questions, I want to, thank you all once again so much for being here this evening. It's really appreciated. The department loves, talking to people, and as always, as you can clearly tell, Professor Edwards, he's always very excited. As he can talk politics forever. So I'm sure you'll have plenty of good conversations with him at a future date. So thank you very much for those who are here with us this evening as guests and as our panel as well, of course. We really do appreciate it. If you have further questions down the road, reach out to us at any time. But we are going to wrap up here this evening as people, I'm sure, want to get back to what they were doing, either busy or I'm sure professors are going to be grading papers and getting ready because we are approaching that Thanksgiving. So I hope all of you have a wonderful holiday. If you're doing any travel, please be safe and enjoy your time. Thank you once again for being here, and I hope you all have a great evening. Take care now.
Thank you very much.